Hi students, welcome to session 3 of Transport of Substances in Animals and Plants. Students, in today's session we are going to learn about transport in plants. But before discussing about it, I would like to discuss some of the important points regarding the transport of substances in plants. Students, we learned that plants take water and mineral nutrients from the soil through the roots and transport it into the leaves. And the leaves prepare food for the plant using water and carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. We also learned that food is the source of energy, and every cell of an organism gets energy by the breakdown of glucose. And the cells use this energy to carry out vital activities of life. And therefore, food must be made available to every cell of an organism. So, students, have you ever wondered how water and nutrients absorbed by the roots are transported to the leaves? How is the food prepared by the leaves, which came to the parts which cannot make food? Well, let us discuss about the transport of the substances like water and minerals and food which take place in the plants. Yes, students, transport in plants. Well, students, there are 3 different kinds of plants, that is herbs, shrubs and trees, which you have been studying from your childhood. So basically, plants need to transport water from the roots to the leaves, and then the food manufactured in the leaves needs to be transported to different parts of the plant. So though the complexity may vary, essentially the mode of transport in all the 3 types of plants, that is herbs, shrubs and trees, is the same. It is all about the transportation and translocation which takes place in plants, not about the kinds of plants. Right? So, let us discuss about it. Here you can see the beautiful diagram of xylem and phloem. These are the conducting tissues in plants. This is xylem and this is phloem vessel. Right? So here you can see the transportation is taking place upwards, and here, the transportation is taking place downwards and upwards too. Right? So basically, remember this very simple thing about xylem vessels, that the transportation of water and minerals takes place through xylem vessels. That is, the upward movement takes place. While in phloem, the downward movement takes place. Phloem is all about, it is associated with the translocation of food, not with the transport of water and minerals. So this is xylem and this is the phloem vessel. So we can say that a tissue called xylem act as pipelines, and it takes water and minerals from the root up to the stem, to the leaves. So this absorption of water and minerals is actually a continuous process. Water is being continuously lost from the leaves by the process of transpiration, which creates a low pressure and pulling force results, which pulls up the water and minerals. So this is the reason why xylem acts as pipelines and takes water and minerals from the root up to the stem and finally to the leaves. You will be very amazed to know, students, that in 1895, the Irish plant physiologist H. Dixon and J. Jolly proposed that water is pulled up the plant by tension, that is the negative pressure from above. So as we have seen that water is continually being lost from leaves by transpiration, Dixon and Jolly believed that the loss of water in the leaves exerts a pull on the water in the xylem ducts and draws more water into the leaf. So it is the xylem sap which rises against gravity without the help of any mechanical pump to reach heights of more than 100 meters in the tallest trees. So how this occurs? Yes, this occurs due to the tension created in the xylem vessel. Tension means the upward movement of water due to the loss of water in leaves, which actually exerts a pull on the water in the xylem ducts. So there is one more thing, that the stomata opens up during the day to let carbon dioxide in and inadvertently let water escape. So there is a gradient in water potential, high water potential in the soil and very low potential, water potential in the air. So water vapor leaves the air spaces of the plant via the stomata, and this water is replaced by evaporation of the thin layer of water that clings to the cells of the plant. And this creates a tension that is pulling on the water in the xylem, and gently it pulls the water towards the direction of water loss. Why it goes upward? Why the movement is upward in the xylem vessels? Because leaves are not attached downwards. They are present on the upward side of the plant. So the water loss is from the leaves, and that is why the water is gently pulled towards the direction of the water loss. And so the cohesion of water is strong enough to transmit this pulling force all the way down to the roots. So remember, students, as I said before, the water column in the tallest trees can be 100 meters. The tension created by evaporation of water coupled with the cohesive and adhesive forces is enough to support this column against the forces of gravity. Remember that at night, transpiration is almost nil. Tall trees generate almost no root pressure on the xylem. No root pressure means the weight of the water pushing down on the xylem is more than it counteracts any generated root pressure. That is why we can say that transpiration at night is almost nil. But how this control of transpiration takes place? Let us discuss more about it. Yes, as we discussed, that water is being continuously lost from the leaves by the process of transpiration. So this creates a low pressure and a pulling force results, which pulls up the water and minerals. And in this way, the water and minerals are transported to different parts of the plant body. And this is similar to what happens when we drink juice or water through a straw. So, remember that in this way, water and minerals are transported to different parts of the plant body, and food in plants is manufactured by the leaves. Once the food is prepared, it needs to be sent to all the parts of the plant body. And this process by which this takes place, that means the food which is prepared is sent to all the parts of the plant body. This process is called translocation, which exclusively takes place in phloem. Right? So the spatial types of tissues called phloem act as pipelines and carry the prepared food to all the parts of the plant body. You will learn more about them in higher classes. So basically, we were discussing about translocation and transpiration. Now, water is needed for photosynthesis, and it is also lost as a product of obtaining caution by this very same process, right? So how does the plant balance the reinforcement of water with its requirement for carbon in photosynthesis? Basically, gut cells control the size of the stomatal openings and thus regulating gas and water exchange, right? So remember that stomata plays a very important role over here. And gut cells also play a very important role. So water is actually the movement takes place by a plant through stomatal openings, which is known as transpiration. Water by a plant through stomatal opening evaporates by the process of transpiration. Remember all the terms, students: translocation, transpiration, everything, right? So the efficiency of a plant can be measured by its transpiration to photosynthesis ratio, means the amount of water lost per gram of carbon dioxide assimilated into the organic material created is photosynthesis, and a typical ratio for a plant is given as 600 to 1 or 300 to 1. So as long as plants can pull water from the soil as fast as it leaves from the leaves, there is no problem. But when water is lost or the water loss exceeds the water uptake, the plants will wilt as the leaves lose some pressure. So the conditions that favor wilting are hot, sunny, and windy days. So remember this. Now, as we discussed that this transpiration process is actually dependent, or translocation process is dependent upon these stomatas. So basically each stoma, singularly called as stoma, is flanked by a pair of gut cells that are capable of changing shape, thereby widening or narrowing the gap between the two cells. So whenever the gut cells take in water, they become turgid and swell. Gut cells are not uniformly thick, but they have long with a series of radially or radically oriented fibrils in the cell wall, because of which the gut cells makes it helpful for the stomata to open and close. So as they swell, the gap between the gut cells widens, and if the plant loses water, the gut cells become flaccid and the gap loses or it closes. So this is how the process of transpiration and translocation is dependent upon it. Right? So we studied about transpiration. Besides that, the translocation of phloem is also taking place. That is translocation in phloem, that is the process of moving photosynthetic product through the phloem. So in many plants there are specialized cells that transport food in the plant, and they are arranged end to end to form large tubes. So basically sugar is produced, sugar or glucose or starch is produced as food, as the form of food in the plants. And this translocation of food takes place by translocation. Right? So that was all about the transpiration and translocation in plants. This is how the transport in plants take place. And both the conducting tissues act as pipelines. One is the xylem that takes water and minerals from the roots, and second is the phloem, which also act as pipelines and carry the prepared food to all the parts of the plant. Right? So that was all about the transport in plants. So now let us discuss about another important topic of this lesson, and that is the excretory system. Yes, students, excretory system. Students, there are a large number of chemical reactions that take place inside a living body, due to which a variety of waste products are being constantly produced inside. So, it needs to be removed out. Because if these waste products are not removed out of the body, then the body might suffer from many diseases. And it can be fatal, so fatal that it can lead to death. So, it needs to be removed out. So, the process of removal of wastes from the cells of living organisms is called excretion. Remember that excretion is the removal of the metabolic wastes of an organism. Wastes that are removed include carbon dioxide, water, salt, urea, and uric acid. So all excreted wastes travel at some time in the blood. The organ system, which is responsible for the removal of wastes is called the excretory system. So this is about excretory system. Let us now discuss about the excretion in animals. Yes. Students, we know that animal wastes mainly include carbon dioxide, which is formed during respiration. So, it may include carbon dioxide, wastes of the digestive system, and other wastes such as urea and uric acid. So, these are the main waste products which you need to remember: urea and uric acid. Now try to recall, students, that the carbon dioxide is removed as waste from the body through the lungs during exhalation. Also recall that the undigested food is removed during egestion. So let us find out how the other waste materials are removed from the body. As you may wonder where these unwanted materials come from. Well, there are some animals such as amoeba, paramecium, hydra, etc. that do not have well-developed excretory system. So, they get rid of all the kinds of body wastes by direct diffusion. We discussed about the diffusion before. Yes? What is diffusion? Yes, the movement of the molecules or gases from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration is called diffusion. So in these animals, there is no well-developed excretory system. There is no specialized organ system. And that is why you must be wondering that how these animals get rid of the body wastes. Yes. They get rid of all the kinds of body waste by direct diffusion through the cell membranes. Right? Also, there are other animals, like animals such as earthworms, insects, and leeches, have tubular structures that help to get rid of the body wastes. So basically, like these animals get rid of the body waste through tubular structures, there are other animals which have specialized excretory system through which the body wastes release out. Or we can say that they get rid of the body waste through that specialized system. So students, whenever our cells perform the function of removing out the certain waste products, the certain waste products are released, and these are toxic, and hence they need to be removed out from the body. So this process of removal of wastes produced in the cells of the living organisms is basically called the excretion. Right? So this is all about the excretion in animals. We will study about excretion in humans in next session, which is actually the very important topic of this lesson. So there are many other animals which have well-developed system, the multicellular animals, which we will study in the higher grades. Right? So I hope you liked today's session. We will meet in the next session. Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying. Have a nice time.